Greetings, my friends. Thanks for joining us again. So in this capsule, I'd like to show you our more creative work and what we teach in our creative programs. Mekka has a system that utilizes a mosaic type of concept when we're working with our creative haircuts. And so what I want to present to you is this mosaic concept. So you're going to see a lot of different compartments within the haircut, and each compartment will be identified and work slightly differently. So using a different pattern within each compartment. And we're going to find a way to make it all fit together so there isn't too much of a chaotic feel to it, but there's really a very highly creative and mosaic feel to it. So this is my model Karla, and I want to show you the sectioning here on Karla's head, and you'll get a sense of what I mean by working with these kind of mosaic concepts. So the first thing that I started to think about was, okay, I'd like to see some longer hair through the nape area and through the sides. At the same time, I would really want to identify the top and isolate it and work the back completely independently. So using all of our Mekka fundamentals, I'm basically sectioning out using the same concepts. So you can see here that I've worked with a classic horseshoe through the top area, except that my horseshoe has a slight slant on it. So it's a little bit lower on one side to the other. I sectioned out the front compartment. So my high point is here, my second high point is here, and I sectioned out the front. Then taking a revolving section, starting at approximately the second high point, I rolled it around all the way back, and then I came back the other side. Now, Karla already had a little short piece of hair here, so I basically kept that out. So all of this underneath area has been locked up and put into elastic bands to really secure it, which then left me with this top back compartment, which I'm going to work independently. So all of these elastic bands are basically segregating my length. Here I have one technique that I'm going to use. Here on the top I'm going to have another technique. Through the front, yet another. And here through the front area, again, because she already had some shorter pieces, I'm actually going to use that. So let's say we would have started with much longer hair. I would have done the same thing. I would have sectioned this out and isolated it so that I knew that I would work on this independently. But in this case, it's already short, and I'm going to work with this. So I'm basically working with what she came back with. So this is going to be a really cool and interesting type of shape. It's going to have quite an edge to it. It's a creative haircut, and so it's really going to showcase our creative program so you get a good sense of what you would learn during our programs. So I'm going to get started. So since Karla already had short hair here on the side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with revolving patterns through her front area all the way to right behind the ear. She already had that zone short, so I'm going to work on that again. If this would have been long from the get-go, as I said, I would have isolated it independently, and I would be doing the exact same thing. It's just she's already has this short. So I'm going to work with a revolving pattern all the way around, and I'm going to make this a little bit shorter and more compact. So first side, using a revolving pattern, working with a bit of inversion, keeping a little bit of a corner behind the ear. Opposite side, I have a smaller disconnection. I'm going to go in and do the exact same thing. I'm just going to go a little bit tighter, and I'm not going to invert out. I'm just going to go in just a little bit more with the natural contour of the head, still revolving around the head, a little bit of over direction, but just a tiny bit tighter than on the other side. So I've dropped the two back compartments now, and what I'm going to do just in this area is I'm going to work with a vertical square pattern. So everything back into a wall, but I'm going to work it quite inverted so I can get a little shorter in through here and keep some length through the bottom. So it's going to make this line drop forward, so it's going to have a little bit of an overlap with my little short piece that I've just created. All right, so I did the vertical square pattern, and what I did is I just located where I wanted my weight line to sit. So I've just been grabbing it and working at it freehand. So what I want to see is this little graduated bob shape on top of another shape. So I've just went in and put my line in visually. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work with a pivot. I'm going to use the weight line right here that I have from my vertical square, and based on that I'm going to pick up my section, lift it, and work on the top with a pivot, and I'm going to barely just over direct it to the previous just to create a really nice rounded movable shape through the top. All right, so I went through the top, did my pivot, keeping the same angle as the weight line came across. Started on the other side, same pivot, but I went with a more closed in angle. So I have a little bit less weight here and pivoted back the other way, and then slowly shifted my angle so I could keep the corner right here in the middle. So now that this is done, I took out all of the disconnections, and now I'm going to establish the baseline. So the baseline is really going to be is going to create the radical aspect of the haircut. The longer you keep it and the shorter it is inside, the more radical the look will look. Or you could actually bring that up quite a bit, texturize it, and make it into a short haircut. In this case, I'm actually going to make it somewhere in between. I'm going to work it as a shoulder length shape so that there's really this cool little bob shape with this interior layering. So the last thing that'll be done will be the fringe, which I'm going to work after the blow dry.